Hi, and before we get to today's episode, we have a quick word from our sponsor. Tired of drinking out of a boring tumbler? Want to make your morning coffee cup one of a kind? Expand with Tipsy Tumblers. You can special order cups, shot glasses, bookmarks, rolling trays for your cigarettes. So you can get one with a picture of a special someone or one with Spider-Man. The options are endless. You can upload your own pictures or pick from her selection of design. With Valentine's Day coming up, this could be a great gift for that special someone, or even just for yourself. Hey, you can use the code GAMES2023 at checkout to save 10%. You go to angelstipsytumblers.myshopify.com. There will also be a link in the show notes. Now on to our episode today.
Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, we're doing another TV episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's hulking out with me tonight?
I am Tiffany Albertin, his lovely wife.
Ashley here.
Welcome.
And Brittany.
Also welcome, two new guests to the show. And we are here to talk about a show that, unlike what I normally do on the show, just came out. We are talking about She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, by Marvel stuff, came out this year, 2022. It just came out. Ashley just finished. We're recording this at the end of October, or end of November, depending on when you hear this. And it was August, October it ran.
The time vortex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this won't come out probably till January. So
he usually doesn't mention dates or anything because of that.
Yeah, because I live in a time, because I record stuff in such a weird fashion sometimes, and I push stuff around and record. Yeah, it's crazy.
Sometimes it's like 6 months.
Once in a while. So welcome to join me, both of you, to guys talk about this. And my first question I want to ask you is, so Ashley and Brittany, what is your history with She-Hulk, if any?
I didn't even know that there was a She-Hulk, I guess, until the show came out.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, same with me. I had no idea there was a She-Hulk at all. And then the TV show came out and I watched it.
I sort of did, but I knew nothing about her. Like, I didn't know where she came from, who she was. I didn't know she was related. Is she really related to him? Okay.
But that's the general concept. I mean, that's another thing that I want to point out is that this is not a character that was known by people, really. Even, the comic book, sure, like, I knew who she was from the comic books, but I didn't care. Like, I never bothered to buy her first appearance when I saw it for $20 years ago.
Now.
But that's just what it is. Like, that's one thing that Marvel's doing now that I kind of want to bring up is that they're taking characters that, She-Hulk is a much more bigger character than some, but they're taking characters that people don't know about and making something out of them. Well, they don't have a choice because they didn't have the X-Men or Spider-Man for a bit. Still have Spider-Man, but I think that's something that's so interesting too. Is that, and this show is a very different show. Have you guys been watching the other MCU shows?
I watched the one with Scarlet, which I did watch a little bit of the Daredevil. I don't know if that's part of it because he's in
yes and no.
Where he's in the She-Hulk, which I thought was interesting.
I like that, yeah.
But it's also not. Here's the fun part. Well, it's the same actor from the Daredevil Netflix show, but I'm pretty sure the Daredevil Netflix show never actually happened in this continuality because of rights.
Oh.
I'm not sure.
The Luke Cage one did, right?
No, Luke Cage, Daredevil, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones might be part of this. They kind of have stayed away from all that, but because technically Disney owns them now again, but they might not be part of the same continuality because the Kingpin is in the Hawkeye show, and he's nothing like the Kingpin in the Daredevil show. And it also, so it's a really weird, like, continuality of what's what. Like,
I hate when they have it.
Like, because they're having another Daredevil show that's coming out after this called Born Again, which is going to be 18 episodes, which my guess is going to completely be its own thing, and the 3 seasons never happen.
It's not going to be the same guy?
Same actor.
Oh, I see.
The same actor that was in this. Kind of. Also, Born Again is a story arc, a real famous story arc, where his girlfriend steals money and buys drugs and ends up revealing his identity for drugs. But that's all their thing.
I guess your listeners might care about that.
That was actually one of the episodes we did way a long time ago back with other people on the show. So, one thing I thought was really interesting about She-Hulk that really kind of threw me for a loop is like the way this first episode kind of really opens up. I was not familiar with the whole fourth wall breaking thing that She-Hulk does, which is from the comics, but I was completely caught off guard when that started.
From the comics?
Yeah, that's from her character.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't either until people told me.
Come on, now you're the comic guy. What's wrong with you?
I'm only somewhat of a comic guy.
Yeah, okay.
But there was one thing. I mean, there was one thing in there in the episode that really kind of hit me, which I don't have the perspective for it completely. That's one reason I have 3 women on here because I wanted to talk about this. Is like she makes a really good point. Like early on, you have the episode happen. She becomes the Hulk because she gets Mark Ruffalo's blood, so she becomes Hulk. She-Hulk, and then he makes a comment. He's like, "Oh, it's gonna take you years. You got to learn how to control your anger. You got to learn how to be calm." And then she just looks at him, and she just says, "Like, I'm a woman. It's what I do every day."
I've been doing that my entire life. Like, she's not wrong though. Like, if we even like remotely get angry or annoyed, oh, that's woman. They're on their period. Oh my God, watch out! Like
Big Bang Theory likes to make that joke.
Yeah.
Stupid joke, but
it's the double standards that everyone has about women. So women,
100%.
And I think it's great. I think it's great that Marvel kind of brought that into discussion. I really do, because it kind of just opens up, like, just because a woman is the way it is doesn't mean she's necessarily a bitch or aggressive or a certain sense. Like, she can be who she wants to be.
And that's what I felt was also like so powerful about the show too, because I mean, this was very pro female, pro sex, I really liked that. I also like the fact that so many people on the internet hated the show because it was pro women. It made me laugh.
Of course.
But there's a difference between...
Of course, it's probably like guys that live in their mom's basement that are talking about that shit. Just saying.
Single men who...
I mean, I live in a basement, but it's my own basement.
Not even necessarily single men. I feel like it's men who just
men
men that think they need to control women at all times. And
that are ignorant.
A woman can have bigger balls than a man, I'm sorry to say. So
you don't be sorry.
100%.
Brittany's got bigger balls than a man.
That is true. I'm pretty sure.
That's why I love you guys.
But I mean, that really spoke to me, and that really sets a theme for this show. And I was like, okay, that, because I mean, again, it makes perfect sense in the way she delivers it. Because first she delivers it in the first episode a little bit more as comedy, and then later on it gets more serious. She's like, I think she makes a comment about it would be the dream to walk and not be scared and not be this. Yeah. And I think she makes a comment where she's like, we have to be careful. If we insult, if we do the wrong thing, we could be killed. Like, and it's just so powerful that it's in there.
And later on,
I mean, she does kind of do it in the first episode, even with her cousin, where he wants her to stay and like train or whatever. And she's like, no, I got this. Like, I can go back and do what I need to do,
Well, because she worked so hard for her position, and she's like, I'm not just gonna give this up. Like, this is my life.
And another thing I thought was interesting. I mean, again, it's more tie into the universe. Like when you have the stuff with Hulk in here, and you have the fact that the ship goes in front of them, and that's why they crash. Like, I like how all that ties into, even though I have complaints about that when we get there to the last episode. But I like where things are going. I also really got a kick out of the danger room type thing where he puts her in to test her stress, and then she breaks it, which is kind of from the comics too.
Oh,
I like that a lot.
That's interesting. I like that they put the comic in with the movie, the TV show.
I was going to say, I have not read the comic, and I was curious to know how much it matches the comics or not.
Mike will tell you.
I've never read a She-Hulk comic, but I like that stuff like that remind me of the Danger Room from X-Men a lot, kind of with the saw blades and everything. Okay. So, I mean, I don't, in She-Hulk is an attorney at law. I mean, that all is part of the character. I mean, that's 100% the character. I mean, and I like how this show also has a lot of law stuff. You have law stuff right in the beginning. You have all that plays a big part in her character, which I was happy to see that this is also a different show than like your normal Marvel stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a different show, like plot wise, character wise, but even like the way that they filmed it was different compared to like all the other Marvels. Like, it was interesting at times, which I liked it, but at the same time, sometimes I didn't. Is when like the character was talking to the audience. that was kind of interesting too. I was like, oh, she's talking to us. This is weird.
You don't get that often.
Like,
I mean,
but then like some of the stuff that she was saying was kind of funny. She's like, oh, here comes another cameo. Blah blah blah. And I'm like,
she like acknowledged that it was like her show. This
is the
end of the season. No, this is not how my show ends. Like, what?
Yeah.
Which is all, I guess, from her main run. That was like, I don't know much about it, but I know it's the main, what the character is most famous for, most known for. And that's just, because there's only two characters in Marvel that I know of that do a lot of the fourth wall breaking, Deadpool and her. So these are the only two that you're going to see it.
Deadpool.
And they didn't own Deadpool at the time that they were making this. I don't think they bought Fox yet.
He's my...
Interesting.
Otherwise, you don't have a lot of fourth wall breaking.
I mean, it worked with her character. I feel like, and maybe it was the actress that they chose that made it work.
Oh yeah, I think it's Tatiana Malinski.
Yeah, she's been in some like other stuff that's really good outside of Marvel. So she had that comedic aspect, and so it was nice.
She's known for Orphan Black, where she plays in the same scene multiple characters.
I forgot that. I was trying to figure out. I knew that there was some other place I knew her from. Orphan Black. Oh, that was a great show. I
have never touched it. I heard it's depressing, so I've stayed away from it.
So good. It makes so much more sense why they chose her because of Orphan Black. She had to play so many different characters in Orphan Black. It was like a spy type sci-fi show, and she was like different characters. Like she was cloned essentially, and she was a spy on some of them. It's a great show, so it makes sense why they picked her for She-Hulk too. But I think she's been in other things. I just can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I have it pulled up, but nothing jumped out at me.
I would say
nothing I've seen her in, other than I just know she was in that. She's in a movie called Two Lovers and a Bear. In case you're curious.
That sounds weird.
Two lovers and a bear.
Yes. But nothing that
sounds interesting. Two lovers.
Tiffany, I think you're thinking what I'm thinking.
So,
wow.
I mean, like Two Girls in a Cup.
No, I know that. But that was funny with the show with the whole cameo thing, and I like how they call that out because that was part of what the show did. Like in the first episode, you have Hulk, and I know a lot of people on the internet were complaining how she was beating up the Hulk pretty much. But again, she's as strong as the Hulk. I mean, also this is not the Incredible Hulk from like the Ed Norton movie, which they make a joke on that in this too, which I laugh my ass off. Where I think someone's like, "You look different." I'm a completely different guy. I was a completely different guy back then.
Completely different person.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. They just make the jokes about that. Edward Norton he's a great actor, but not for that movie. But it's just
okay. It was okay.
And then you get introduced in the first episode of Titania, I think is
Titania.
Uh-huh.
I didn't care for this character.
She was super annoying.
Yeah.
Was she like the one that's like the makeup girl?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not understand what the point. Like, I get that you need like a villain or like a bad guy, which I thought honestly, from the previews that I saw, I thought she was going to be more of like the villain or whatever. And she really wasn't. She was just kind of, to me, I felt like she was kind of a filler and she was kind of annoying.
Just kind of randomly there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wasn't good.
No, I didn't like her.
No,
I do think it's funny that
she was obsessed with She-Hulk. They made her seem like she was like obsessive and like that person that wouldn't leave her alone.
I mean, she was also an influencer too, which I thought was funny. They make a point like, I got more TikTok followers than you.
I think they were trying to make like the younger crowd probably more interested in it. I don't know, but her character. I mean, is she in the comic?
Yeah, she's a comic character.
Oh, she is. Okay.
I don't know her. I mean, when I first saw this, I thought she was going to be the main villain of the show, which is what you guys are thinking. Which, I mean, again, this show completely goes a completely different direction.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I totally thought she was going to be more of the villain in the show. Because, like, I mean, obviously she has some sort of, like, abilities, but I don't remember. Do they go in deeper into how she got them?
No, they don't talk.
Don't they call her?
Yeah, that was another thing is, like, she just was, like they brought her in for, like, an episode or two, and then there wasn't really a whole lot of, like, backstory compared to like the other villain that ended up kind of being the villain throughout the whole show.
About her.
No, they don't. No. They just say she's an influencer. She's in the first episode where she's in for court, and then she somehow gets off of court, even though she broke down walls and almost killed people. But hey, so it's just it was kind of odd to me too. But I think it was also meant to be very much of a to throw you for a loop, to show you this without. And make you think this is one thing, and then where the show went was completely different because it was a completely different show. Like I think and then this is also when you have her first become She-Hulk in public, and then everyone starts calling her She-Hulk. And I like how they make fun of the name too, because it is a little derogatory. So
why isn't he Hulk? She's She-Hulk.
Yeah.
See, I'm okay when it comes to he-man and she.
I mean, they could have made it real worse. She could have been like Hulkette or some shit like that.
I was just thinking of that. I was like, oh, it could have been Hulkette.
There's a Hulkling.
There's a Hulkling? Is that like a baby Hulk?
It's a Skrull that I think is a changeling that's mostly Hulk. That's also gay. So.
Huh.
But I don't think
or a girl?
it's a guy.
Don't know. Oh, okay. We're not sure.
No, it's a guy. It's a
Hulkling.
Yeah.
No, I don't like that.
I don't think they're gonna have him in the Hulkling. Yeah,
that's a guy.
Oh.
He's from the Runaways stuff. That but I don't know if they'll have him in there. If they're going to have him in the show or what their plan is. So they just introduce someone at the end of the season. So I think they're going to go down that road instead.
Oh,
is what they're setting up for.
Interesting.
And then the second episode, that's when you kind of really get introduced to Abomination, which I really like the fact that they got that actor back after all the time.
I completely forgot about him.
I did too.
Forgot.
Because at first I'm like, who is this guy? And then I'm like, whoa, I have not seen those movies in a long time.
It's the Edward Norton one, right?
Mm-hmm. He's in the Incredible Hulk. He's the villain, Tim Roth. But they haven't done anything with him since then. Like, that movie's almost completely forgotten.
But he was briefly in Shang-Chi.
As Abomination, yeah.
Yeah, the character. It's Abomination.
And that's,
I don't know. I like that little scene. It was funny.
I do too.
You gotta work on your puns.
But it was good to see Abomination. And I thought it was hilarious when you had like this, is it 7 soulmate?
I was sad they didn't do anything with the soulmates. Like, I wanted to see him running around.
I wish they would have brought that out more, because that was hilarious. It made me think of, like, serial killers and how they get a bunch of...
I mean, it's true.
It made me think of Sister Wives. So I wanted to, like, see them on the farm, like, maybe fighting over each other or, like, fawning over him or something. And then there's just, like, nothing. I was like, that's lame.
Well, they might have went to it because they might have felt that it would not go for what they were going for in the show and be more or less.
It would have been
derogatory.
I thought it would have been.
It would have been funny, but it might have been. They might have seen it as derogatory towards women, and none of that.
Okay, because the 7 wives isn't derogatory.
Okay, I got nothing. But it's funny.
God. 7 soulmates. I'm sorry, 7 soulmates.
It would have been funny if one was a guy, though.
Oh man, they should have did that. That would have been really funny.
No, it's just great to see him again because he hasn't been in any. He really hasn't been around, and they do a good job with it. And they also, I felt that it was another kind of point to where she's only hired because she's the She-Hulk, not because of all how worthy she is to have this job. And I think that was a good, kind of brings out a good statement of what women I think have to deal with.
100%.
I was just going to say,
It makes people understand what women do. Like in interviews, if you might have someone who's ugly and they're really qualified, but then you have someone who's absolutely beautiful and not qualified at all, and they're going to pick someone based on their look.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot more in women than in men. At least I think so.
Yeah,
for sure.
When I used to work at Target a long time ago, the Target I worked at, they had 3 or 4 blonde, very, very pretty women as managers. I remember that. It was just like, this is odd.
I mean, sex sells. It will always sell. So.
So I should wear like low cut shirts in my next interview, right?
Depends on what you're going for.
And make the girls pop out.
Man, then maybe. But if it's with a woman, I wouldn't.
That depends on the woman.
No, and you know what? I will never wear my hair up for an interview because I feel like it makes me look less attractive.
It does not.
But I'm just saying that's just how I feel personally.
Sorry.
And I'm sure other women feel that way.
I think that's one thing that I was also impressed with this show, is just that how much stuff it made me, because I try to be conscious of what like Tiffany goes through and what women go through and not to be an ass. Sometimes it doesn't work, but I try not, I do my best to be aware of stuff like that, and I have made an effort to be more aware of things, and I think this show did a good job of bringing that. Like you have, the stuff that comes up, in this episode where he's like, well, if you don't want to be She-Hulk, we're going to fire you then. It's like, just deliberate asshole move if she doesn't do, exactly what they want.
It's like gaslighting in a way.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the guy is an asshole. She's going against him in court because he killed people essentially by, negligence. Well, there was a comment in the first episode, Tiff, that the guy made. Oh, if something about where the lawyer's like, well, he doesn't know, then he can't be held accountable.
What was he accused of again?
Poisoning people, essentially.
If he didn't know the water was poisonous or whatever, how would he know? Let's just say he didn't know. Hypothetically, he didn't know. And I'm like, what?
You got all upset.
Like, he still poisoned people. People still died.
I just thought it was just really good with everything. And this is also in the second episode, you have the Light Elf, which I thought this was kind of funny. Where you have the asshole guy who thought he was dating, oh god, what the hell was her name? Megan
Thee Stallion.
Yeah.
I didn't even
oh my gosh, that was
hilarious.
And I love this character. She was so funny. She's just like everywhere.
I do remember like seeing like things on like social media about how like the actress that played She-Hulk has like a huge like fangirl loves Megan Stallion or whatever. So when they brought her on, like, I guess, like, she was like super excited that she was part of the show. And I can't remember if like the dance scene in one of the episodes that they did,
The third
that
one.
was, yeah, it was, that one was like not planned or something. I can't remember. Like, it was, I don't remember where I heard that from, but it was kind of cool that like even actors can get like starstruck by other people and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I've
Like,
seen that. I
yeah.
mean, I've heard about
And it was kind of like also like kind of funny and random that like, oh, Megan Thee Stallion is in this show.
I have no idea who she is other than she had some song that was really controversial, I remember.
I don't.
I can't remember the name of it, but I figure you guys might. Especially by that laugh.
I mean, it depends on which one. I bet we're talking about WAP.
No, that's Cardi B.
Yeah, but
Wasn't it Cardi B and Megan
in it too?
I don't know. I feel like
I thought she was the other person in it.
Yeah, I thought she was too. That's a song.
She has her part. Her part is like she's the main character. She's main with Cardi B. They both sing that song, Ash.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
She has the second verse.
And I remember that people were so angry on the internet over that song. Like, we've had much worse songs.
Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion.
Because men talking about dicks and I like big butts are okay, but
I cannot lie.
but you get women talking about things like that and it's not okay.
No, but I mean, it was. I don't know much about her as a singer or anything, but seeing her in here, I felt really fit the theme of what they were going for too, because of all that stupid bullshit hatred people got. And again, that all that stuff was hilarious to me. Like, I was laughing my ass off during the stuff with the light elf, especially where the way that she, they win his case is they bring her up on stand, and she's like, yeah, he's an asshole. Yeah, he could see himself dating, that he'd be good enough, and also that was just hilarious to me because the guy was a complete idiot. Like, he just seemed like the kind of guy that also would be dating lots of different women because nobody would want to stay around that jerk. So.
And wasn't it later like, oh yeah, me and She-Hulk had a thing.
Yeah.
We dated for a while. And she was like, what?
Yes. And I thought that was hilarious.
All that was good, and everything with like Blonsky too, because I think you had the trial around this point too, and like, again, I also just rewatching Shang-Chi very recently. It's the same cell you can see in Shang-Chi when he brings them back to it. It's all the same areas. I thought that was cool. They kept the same image, what they were using.
Yeah.
I don't know. I found the trial was funny too when he's trying to for the parole thing. He's like, look, I can change to Abomination whenever I want. Like, they all just start freaking out, screaming.
And they didn't know that? Like, they didn't have an inhibitor on him the whole time? What's wrong with them?
They probably thought he couldn't do it. Is my guess, is that they thought it was a very freak thing where he only was able to change in a certain situation, because the way he becomes Abomination, he gets shoved with super soldier serum.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say I feel like that's where I kind of remember him from, is when he was in like Captain America, but technically it was the actual Hulk movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an Incredible Hulk.
I didn't know this until recently, that the reason they haven't been able to make another standalone Hulk movie, isn't it because like Universal or whatever, the production people own the rights to Hulk, and that's
they own the distribution rights.
Okay, so that's why he's only been.
So they can use him in any movie that's not his name, but they can't make a movie with his name because then Universal gets money.
Yeah, and that's why they haven't been able to make a standalone movie.
Which is stupid. Like, I hate the right thing, and one of my
it's the same thing with the whole Spider-Man shit too. Like, that's trash.
X-Men they now own because they bought the company.
Oh, that's good.
It's coming. I mean, that's the reason why we've so far at this point in the MCU, you had 2 times the word mutant has been mentioned. You had Miss Marvel, they make a comment about a mutation, and then in Wakanda, in Black Panther, you have a reference to a mutant also.
Oh, that's right.
Also, I think I feel like one of the characters in this might have been a mutant, but they don't ever say it, but I can't remember because
Titania.
No, I don't think she is. I mean, these are all D-list characters too. Like, these are just bottom of the barrel characters that I knew some of them. So, but that's because I collect first appearances of D-list characters for cheap before they become in movies and shows. So,
you can have the Hobgoblin someday.
The Hobgoblin's right over there, first appearance, by the way, on the wall. That's not a D-list character. That was not a cheap book. But that's a whole other thing. But I mean, some of the other things that I want to mention also, which I was amused by this, like in the third episode, you have her get mugged by 4 guys, and One I thought was funny when they grab her and she's like, wait a second, and then she just hulks out and starts beating the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Those are actually sort of comic book characters. They're called the Wrecking Crew. They're a Thor villain, but all 4 are usually superhumans.
But she referenced it. She's like, what did you just, like, raid an Asgardian
Construction site.
They were like, yeah.
But in the comics.
Yeah, we did.
Which is actually, I think, accurate. I mean, I don't know their comic origin, but I do know that the characters in the comics are much stronger. But, I mean, it takes all 4 of them to fight Thor, and it takes all 4 of them to get their ass beat by Iron Fist, which is not a great character, but I love him.
But then she was like, kind of like what we mentioned before. She was like, this is what every woman wishes. She changed into the Hulk, and she was like, well, I'm not afraid of these people. I'm walking down the street, and I'm not afraid of these men. Like, I'm going to kick their ass right now. She does, and they're like, oh, we got to go right out.
But it's a good story beat having them in there, and again, more, you know, kind of putting to what women have to go through. I just love seeing the Wrecking Crew because I'm a big fan of I like those characters. They wear really dumb costumes.
Are they villains?
Yeah, they're villains.
Oh.
I like them, but they really have, like, one guy has a crowbar, one guy has a ball and chain. It's really stupid, but I like them a lot. One guy has it's like pile driver head or something. His name, he has something on his head where he runs into things. Again, they're dumb villains. They're dumb villains. But the fact that they actually showed up in here, it's just hilarious to me. So,
Can you hear him?
I can, yes.
I think that's very good that they added it together, like intertwined them.
Yeah.
Because everything, again, you know, works towards, I feel female empowerment, but also, you know, bringing you closer. Because I think some people don't realize. Well, I don't think some. I think the word's a lot. You know, especially men don't realize what women have to go through. You know, in daily life.
Like that whole scene like paints a good picture that like we have to like be so mindful of our surroundings constantly, regardless if it's night or day or whatever. And you just never know like who's a threat to you when you're alone and you're a woman.
Women have to be men. Like, you kind of have to be careful of everybody.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I like that it does bring attention to that in here in different ways, and it wasn't played for comedic. I mean, I feel like it wasn't really played for comedic effect. I mean, there is some, but it was also there to, you know, it paint a picture too. You know, and it kind of like shows because, you know, I don't think it's yet, but, you know, as the show progresses, you also are introduced to the whole, how to tell her name. You have Hulk King, which is the little asshole that started this website, but it's, you know, again, people that don't like women, essentially, because that's essentially what it was going for.
Females. Am I right?
God, there are jerks out there that talk like that, aren't there?
Oh my God, 100%. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
He's like, okay.
There's only a certain time where when I use the term female, and it's not.
You could probably surf the web and find like a blog with men like that.
Oh, for sure. What do they call that like thread? Reddit or some shit like that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's Reddit 4chan, maybe, I think was another one, if it's still around.
I'm sure.
And then this brings us to the 4th episode, which is Tiff's favorite episode.
Yeah.
It was the magic one with Donnie.
Oh yeah, I actually watched that episode. In my defense, I think I had to watch that episode like 2 or 3 times because I kept falling asleep. Not because it was bad, just because I was watching them at night, and I didn't want to just like miss things. And I felt like after I tried to watch episode 5 after that, I was like, oh, I got to go back and rewatch this. I missed something. And it brought in Wong. That was great.
I loved Madison. My name is
is she the drunk girl?
Yeah.
Oh my God, she was hilarious.
I don't know why. I freaking loved her. I was like, it's Madison. She was my favorite side character. She was just, I don't know what it was about her.
I don't know either. But you were.
It's Madison, spelled with 2 N's and a Y, but it's not where you think it is.
She made
Can you just spell your name? Oh, for sure.
She made a perfect drunk girl.
Yes.
Oh, Wonger!
The only thing that I have to say is, like, I'm really glad that they didn't, like, they could have went, like, really stereotypical with her in a way, and I'm glad that they kind of didn't, but she also was, like, she brought that comedic part to it.
Yeah. And I forgot to mention that earlier you had Wong show up because they have Wong to defend Abomination without how he got out of prison to show.
Yes.
That was his choice. And then they're like, you broke the law. And you're like, I gotta go.
Okay, bye.
I'm enjoying how Wong is kind of becoming the character that's in so much of Phase 4 because he's in She-Hulk, he's in Spider-Man No Way Home. He's in Shang-Chi. He's in Doctor Strange. Obviously, like I love how they're bringing. He's becoming a character that's really branching between so much of this other stuff too.
Yeah, he's really come forth in all the movies.
Yeah.
Lately.
I was gonna say I've only remember him from a little bit of the Doctor Strange with Scarlet Witch. And was he a little bit in Scarlet Witch too, like the show?
He's not in WandaVision, no.
No, okay, maybe. And then he was in Doctor Strange, but I never seen like the Doctor Strange movie.
You should. Both of them are really good.
They're really good.
I'll try. I just don't like
I'll try. No, they're really good.
Yeah. No, I like the Scarlet Witch one. It was good. I watched it a couple weeks ago and it was pretty good.
It's a really good movie.
I think I would probably like Doctor Strange too.
I actually really enjoyed Doctor Strange's movies and find out his background.
Yeah, I think watching the Scarlet with Doctor Strange, I think I probably would have enjoyed it even more if I had watched Doctor Strange first.
It would help because I mean a lot of these movies are sequels upon sequels of each other and everything else.
Yeah.
Infinity War, Endgame.
I was sad she was the villain. Like, she's one of my favorite characters. Even before all the Marvel movies, she was one of my favorite characters.
Yeah. But she kind of redeems herself in the end, though.
Yeah. I know,
So
She kills a lot of people.
I know, don't we all?
But also,
That's okay. She was just on her period.
Hey, no.
But the whole thing with like with the fake magician was just hilarious too, because it's like he's trying to do magic again, not real, but then he has the one thing that is real magic where he opens the portals and then he sends her they make a mention with Madison where he sends us to the
say
goblin.
How he got that? I don't remember.
Yes. He was part of the school where Wong is and everything like that. Kamarjay or Kamarjai,
I missed that part. That's why he.
And then he got and then he left. He didn't have the chops.
He summoned his frat boy.
Oh, that's what it was.
He summoned his frat boys to have a party or something, and then they kicked him out. But they did collect the magic ring or whatever that opens portals.
Sling ring.
Oh, someone's getting fired.
Right. But then Madison comes back and they're like, "Oh, well, you got sent to a different dimension. What happened?" "Oh, well, I did this, and it was scary, but then it was fun, but then it was a little scary, and then it was fun." And I'm like, what? And I fought this demon, and then we were besties, and I'm like, what's going on?
Honestly, I can see her coming back in the second season because I feel like she's probably a character that they probably didn't think would be, like, super popular, and I think she will be. I think we'll see more of Madison.
I'm sure they are.
I need a Funko Pop of me.
I'm also glad that she's only really in one episode because I couldn't handle that any more than the one time.
No, she was in like another one. She came back a while because like there was like this funny little like love interest between her and Wong, and watching like The Sopranos or whatever it was.
That was funny when she ruined Sopranos for him. I mean, it ruined it for me too. I never seen it.
Literally like what all girls do when they watch shows. I feel like we have to give commentary about something.
I'm not used to that. Funny. I'm used to just women falling asleep when we put on the show for them.
Depends what you're watching.
Anything. Especially Labyrinth. If I want Tiffany to go to sleep so I can go play games, I put Labyrinth on. She'll be out in no time. I can go walk away.
That's my comfort movie. I'm just like, I've seen it so many times. I'm like, and I wake up. Oh, it's this part. Okay.
Oh, and if you turn off, like if I try to turn off the TV or pause it, she wakes right up. You gotta let everything playing. Like we were watching. I don't remember watching this or we were watching Big Bang Theory, and she just fell asleep. And I'm like, I tried to turn off the TV, and she woke up. So I put Labyrinth on and left. So I wanted to go play games.
You want to go play games.
But it wasn't 3 a.m, Brittany, so it was okay, right? I wasn't yelling either.
Yelling at little kids.
I mean, it's more like 5 o'clock in the morning when you screaming at the little kids on NBA or whatever the football
NBA, 2K something.
But he hasn't done it recently, so probably because last time he got cussed out really bad.
What are you talking about?
Probably by like a 5-year-old who thinks he's hot.
Well, the funny thing is, after he does that, then he gets banned from talking to people. And I'm like, well, then why do you even do that? Like, he's like, I don't know. They're stupid. And I'm like, okay.
They're stupid.
Oh my god.
Like they're probably like 10. Like, what
right.
How will the conversation goes?
So like, what? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, they're probably
stupid. No, you're stupid.
They're probably like privileged white boys. So
Oh, but I found like this episode too, like the fact that you have all the demons coming, but also uses when you have, because you have, I think it's either this episode or before, you have Jennifer Walters trying to date, and she found, garbage men, obviously, of course. And then she tries to date a She-Hulk, and she finds more garbage men, except for the one guy, which is, I really like this part, because I felt like this was very, I want to say women empowerment, too, because, and it's also having the woman be in charge. And I like that, how she brings the guy home. I forget what he says, but she's like, let's go. And then she's about to go have sex with him, and then Wong opens the portal, and then you just show her picking him up and carrying him to the bedroom.
Oh my gosh, yeah, her on like all those dating apps. I'm like, oh,
the whole dating thing is very realistic. Like I went through that. You have to weed out the weirdos, and I'm just thinking, God, I had a guy like that. Oh my God.
It was really interesting that they did do. I forgot it. I didn't even think of that until now, that they did show kind of like what women go through on these dumb dating apps. And stuff.
But the sad part was when he left and he didn't want to eat breakfast with her, and like he didn't like her as her, and it kind of like showed like she kind of realized like she has to love herself.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, that you have to have boundaries and like a little bit of standards, and maybe that's why like guys are like, oh, girls they have all these standards. I'm like, yeah, because guys are trash.
So I was only on a dating website for a little while. So I almost went on one date before I met Tiff, and I met Tiff. So I didn't have very long. I got lucky. But I'm also not a woman.
Lucky. I went on a lot of dates before I met you.
I know, like the guy with the bobby socks.
I don't want to talk about
that. I love that story. But I just think it was good
I feel like going on dating apps honestly makes you who you are. So like going through all the trash people and like, I think She-Hulk going through that, really makes her a better woman.
It makes her figure out who she wants. So like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And her work.
Yeah, and who she is, like what Brittany said before, like it really teaches her who she is and what she's worth and her value, and to put her and to love herself.
And
that's
to have respect. Be like, I deserve better.
And a lot of men are like, I mean, because I haven't dated much. I'm also a man, so I have not dated men. But I'm assuming that there's a lot of men that act like that. Like these are like stereotypical, like they have in the show, correct? Like for people.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Like the guy that just up and left and wasn't like really paying attention to her conversation. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Looks at his watch. Oh, I gotta go up, and leaves and lets her pay for the bill.
There were a few dates I had, I always paid the bill. So I always did it.
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm old school where I feel like you should pay the bill. Like
I do too.
You're a man. So
I always been that way. I was like, okay, I pay the bill.
Too. I mean, some women nowadays are like, well, I can pay my own way, but I'm like, you want to go on this date with me? You're gonna pay my dinner, damn it. At least get a dinner out of this.
No, and it also, I feel like it makes you like when someone wants to buy your food, it makes you feel good. Like if you have to buy your own food, it's kind of like, unless the date is absolutely horrible, then I'll be like, oh, I'll pay for my half.
Oh, 100%. Like that's kind of like when I go out on dates and stuff. That's literally what I think about. I'm like, oh, this guy thinks I want a free meal or some shit like that. Or you also think like, oh, this man's gonna pay for my meal, and then he thinks he's gonna get his dick wet or some shit. And then you're like, hell no. And then so I always like, I know I get shit for this, but I always offer to split it right. Like, and then like. I mean, it also kind of like some girls I've heard use it as a test to see if guys will actually pay or not. And like for me, I'm just like, no. I mean, if you want to buy me food, sweet. I'm not giving you anything back. I mean, I'll go on a second date with you. I mean, to an extent, I don't know. It depends on the. It also depends on the vibe, because I've had it go both ways where they've paid and then I'm like, yeah, let's keep hanging out, and then it's the next day. But.
I mean, I had very few dates, but I never expected anything when I bought somebody dinner. I'm like, okay, we're on a date. I'll buy you dinner. Like that's how I felt like it was supposed to be.
But then it's like it's interesting too, because like it also like maybe the show also like explores how like I don't know, like gender roles too more. Yeah,
and it shows kind of what people go through. Like I know there's one of the later episodes when she's getting the award, where they're like, oh, what does a female lawyer have to do? That made me
so mad. I was like, ugh.
But it's meant to. I mean, it's meant to, show that stupid, type of thing. Like, where it's, like how they're being classified by their gender when they shouldn't be. It should be classified by what your talent and what you're doing, not. And I think that's very good, how it does it. How it really shows that, too. And it doesn't. I feel like I'm hoping that this show brought things to somebody out there who watched the show and realized, oh, okay. I mean, I'm sure it didn't work that way, but I like to believe that somebody.
Not if guys got upset about it.
Well, I'm saying, of course, there can be some that are just, you can't help it. Some dummies cannot.
I mean, your friends are like.
And then you get into episode 5. I like the name. The title of this episode is "Mean Green and Straight Poured into These Jeans." This is when you have Titania kind of going after her for the lawsuit with the She-Hulk name, which I thought was interesting. I mean, it's kind of cool because it brought more legal aspects to it, which I think is, again, fits the character, and I thought was good for this show. And that's really all the episode. I mean, and also how she uses her ex dates, where she called herself the She-Hulk when she dated that one time to bring all the losers back into court. That was kind of funny.
That episode, she kind of like had to face her own demons and back to what we were saying before, like love herself, because like they all like talk shit about her in a sense.
Yeah, even the one guy
all, like saying like she wasn't good enough as Jen, but she was fine as She-Hulk. Like, and she realized like she's one person, like her She-Hulk and her Jen. Going back to like the first episode, how Hulk and what's his name? What's Hulk's main name?
Bruce Banner.
Bruce, thank you. I'm like, what is his name? Bruce. I was gonna say Bryce, but I knew it was Bruce and Hulk are two different people. Like they
literally
not like
wow.
And like how in this episode it brought like aspect like Jen and She-Hulk are the same person, and she needs to realize they are one.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I mean, it was just I didn't catch that, but I like how you're saying that, because that's what this episode is doing. I mean, this is also the episode where she meets the guy who ends up making her clothes for her, which I did like that, how she gets her, her costumes and everything. And then you have a small cameo in this episode at the very end of this episode where you see the Daredevil hat or helmet, and then put a.
I didn't catch that though.
I did not know that he was going to be in this.
Well, I didn't catch it because that's not I didn't know his helmet looked like that. It didn't look like that in the series, did it?
Mm-hmm.
It did.
It's just not yellow, because yellow is the original color for the Daredevil in the first 8 issues.
We're going for mustard and ketchup.
And then eventually I think it's first 8 issues, maybe it's longer, but eventually he switches to the red outfit, which he's most known for. There's also many others, but the yellow is the original run. So, and then because of the Daredevil show that they already had on Netflix, I think they wanted some. Again, this is why I also feel that they're not going to reference anything that happened in that show, which I hope they don't, because I want to see these arcs. That's why they're having him in a completely different costume too, because they're not going to connect.
She-Hulk hook up in the comics?
I don't know.
I liked that.
I actually really liked them together. I
did too.
It was really cute.
But they didn't hook up in the 5th episode, did they?
They hook up pretty quick.
Oh.
Yeah, I think they hooked up after they did the case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was like the
because he met her at a bar or
something.
Before
or after that one guy ghosted her yet, where he took his information from her phone?
That happened. It was after that happened, because that's actually the next episode is the wedding where she meets that guy.
Okay. Because she didn't hook up with him before the wedding.
No, she hooks up with that guy after the wedding, and she hooks up with Daredevil the 2 episodes after that.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
But to talk about to continue on what you're talking about, with that, I like it. I like the way they portray it in there with Daredevil, with her, because in the end she makes comments like, "This is doing it for me." I like the fact that it's her making the choice, it's her decision, and it's showing that more with reality. Women, she found something that she found attractive, and she wanted it. Nothing wrong, and I like how it shows that it's a positive light, not
that and she found someone that likes her for her.
Yeah,
and he makes a walk of shame. I love that. In his little superhero suit. That was the best thing ever.
And her friend Nikki, which we hadn't talked about yet, but I think she's also great throughout this show.
I loved her friend.
So
one
good.
Of my favorite characters.
She plays really well off her too. They play really well off each other, all the different random stuff that happens.
They definitely do.
Yeah.
Remind me of you, Brittany, you and Ashley.
That's probably why I liked her so much.
And then you get to the wedding. The stuff with the wedding I thought was interesting too. I like that she meets this random guy at the wedding that you think is nice. I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. And
I was very hopeful. I was very hopeful
too.
I was too, and then I was like, motherfucker, I knew it.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, I like how it shows them dating and doing things, and she, doesn't sleep with them right away and everything, and then when she does finally sleep with him, he copies her phone and steals her blood and leaves her and then ghosts her.
Yeah, but then I was annoyed. She goes back to him. Doesn't she go back to him?
No, she doesn't see him again.
No, he completely ghosts her. She tried. She was messaging him,
Oh, I
And,
thought
like-
she went back to him.
No.
No, she kept messaging him, and he never wrote her back.
Oh. For some reason, I thought she was like. There's a part where she's like at the retreat and stuff,
Yeah,
and then
but
he ends
And she
up
wants to text them, and then they.
they won't.
Yeah, and then he ends up texting her back or something, and then they go back, and I swear to God, she went back to him in like the retreat episode.
No, she does. She never goes back to him.
She deletes his number in that.
Oh,
yeah, she
damn
deletes
it.
his number.
But I thought, but there's a part in like one of the episodes where she's leaving the retreat and she gets a message from him, and then he like picks her up or something.
No. Okay.
Or like, no.
I'm
Maybe
99% sure. No.
Maybe it's the one episode, the wedding episode I keep thinking of, because they like hang out a lot in that episode.
Yeah, because you have the
Yeah.
wedding, and then you have her fighting Titania. You have all the stuff of them dating, because it shows them dating a whole bunch, or like, let's say here like 3 or 4 times or so before she sleeps with them, which made me
Mhm.
laugh. And when I first met Tiff, I told Tiff that we were going to go a month before we have sex.
That did not happen.
But I always found that funny because that's what it reminded me of. Like, okay, got to go a certain amount of time.
All I had to do was wear boots and leggings, and then that broke them.
Yes, but I was trying to be a gentleman. Like, we got to go a certain amount of
I
time.
was like, okay, that's your choice. Like, I was all for it. Come on, let's go. Jump in
So,
the bed.
It just made me think of that too with the dating thing, and I like that too. I really like the way that all that worked and the way they did that until he turns out to be a complete creep.
That's hilarious.
Oh, and then also during the wedding episode, you get introduced to Mr. Immortal. This is true.
That's during the wedding episode?
Yes,
I like this.
this is completely true to the character, by the way. I don't know the character at all, but I was listening to one of my podcasts, The Comic Conspiracy, and he's like, whoever would have thought that one of the characters we get comic accurate would be Mr. Immortal. I'm like, oh, okay.
They call him a mutant. No.
No.
Oh, okay.
So the whole thing with Mr. Immortal, he's a guy who he's trying to do a divorce case, and it turns out that he has 7 spouses.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
7 or 8 spouses.
I think.
And he pretends
And they're all-
to die every time.
Yeah, because he doesn't like conflict. So he just you have example when they're arguing with him, the lawyers are.
He jumps out the window.
He just kills himself and then gets back up and
And
leaves
they just watch and they're like, oh, that's how that works. Okay, then.
because he hates conflict. So his solution is to just kill himself, and then they think he's dead and he disappears.
And they even have a guy. He even married a guy. I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
But I also really like that too. That they have that because again, I mean, I feel like if you're someone like that who could live forever, you're going to end up with the same sex. I mean, I think this is going to happen. In my
It was
opinion.
just so strange how they divided his assets. One lady was like, oh, I get an apology with 30 seconds of sincere eye contact. I was like,
And then he was an ass, and she's like, make it 45.
I was like, what? That's all you want?
Well, some people didn't need the money, or they didn't want the money. They just wanted an apology. They weren't with him as long.
I guess so.
But how much of a dick move is that? Be like, hey, I don't want to argue with you, and I don't want to leave you, so I'm just going to kill myself and leave you that way. Okay, bye.
Yeah, I found
I mean, that's the ultimate ghosting.
it's awful.
And ghosting's
that really
horrible.
is.
I mean, just tell someone you're done. Don't ghost them. I just thought about, yeah, that's you just kill yourself.
That's worse than leaving a note like, we're done. Have a good life.
Instead, you get to cry over that I'm dead and find out, hey, wait, you're still alive.
And throw a big funeral. Didn't the guy throw a big funeral or something?
Yeah, and then you want to be paid back for
They
that.
want to be paid back for that.
It also made me think of double jeopardy, where if you're with God, what is her name? Ashley Judd. Where if you're tried for a crime, you can't be convicted of a crime twice. She's convicted of killing her husband, so now she's trying to actually go kill her husband because you already served the time for it.
Good
movie.
Actually dead or something.
No, he faked his death and had her go to prison for it, and he was actually sleeping with her best friend or something.
She's like, all right, let's kill this bastard for real.
Good movie, by the way. If you've never seen it, watch it.
It's a good movie.
But that's also what it made me think of. I think it's in episode 6 you get introduced to Intelligentsia too, which is like we were talking about earlier, the whole Reddit thing and 4chan and just a bunch of really
Idiots.
yes.
Oh yeah.
Females. That's where they say females a lot. Females, am I right?
And I feel like when I was in high school, I feel like there were guys that I didn't really hang out with, people that I was sometimes associated with, and that's how they would always call women females or girls females. I'm like, what? Why? And
I don't understand why. I feel like that's just a dig when guys are like, oh, she's when they say females.
It's just
I
a
don't know.
female thing.
It is a dig. I mean, I say female when I'm talking about my cat because she's not human. I don't want to call her a girl. I call her female because she's a cat. You know?
Or just think of like such a douchebaggy guy from like the gym. He's like, yeah, I like me some females. Like, oh, so gross.
It is. It works well in this, and I like how they're also like they're such they're really bad villains too. In their own stupid way, and I like that.
Yeah.
The retreat episode, I think, is also really good when she's coming. Like we were talking about earlier, she's getting across from the ghosting and everything, and she goes to where the Abomination Emil Blonsky is at his ranch with his
yeah,
his soulmates that
it was so funny.
I liked all those little characters. They're all so funny.
and they're all comic book characters.
They're all real characters.
Oh, it's so funny.
The guy who thinks he's a vampire, he confused me a lot.
I'm assuming he is too. I didn't look him up. I know the porcupine. That is a costume comic accurate porcupine.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and they're like, put the mask back on. Put it back on.
That would be the best thing.
I mean, again, these are D-list characters. Like, these are bottom of the barrel. You have Manbull, that Conquistador guy. He's from the comics. I don't know anything about them, but the fact that they just got in these random ass people just to be in there to be part of.
He's a swashbuckler, isn't that what he said?
Yeah,
swashbuckler.
I think it's fun that they added those characters in that no one really or talks about or even sees.
Yeah,
I had no idea about any of those characters really, and I was like, oh, I was thinking they're all fake, and then now you're saying they're real. I'm like, oh,
yeah, they are.
Which is sad.
And that fake vampire guy, he's a villain of enemy of the Punisher.
Oh, okay.
What's his name?
You just said it, but I don't know.
I just said it?
Sir, I thought you said it.
No, I did not.
Oh, I got nothing. And the porcupine character, I'm not sure. He's from Tales to Astonish. He's from 1963.
Oh, okay.
So old, yeah. So I mean, they just took really random ass characters, but it made me happy to see that. And
what is his superpower? Does he have a superpower? He just
I don't know.
Porcupine thing.
I got nothing.
Like, come at me, I dare you.
Here, I'll send you the link and you can read it when you go back in time, and I can put it in post. I won't, but you can read it anyway for me. Yeah, I got nothing. It's too much to read.
It's too much. I don't want to read it.
But his ability here: skilled automotive mechanic, porcupine suit grants enhanced strength and durability. Raise your quill-like surface, short distance flight via belt jets.
Okay, that's enough. I don't know what any of that means.
It's just cool to me that we get these characters. And like another thing in this episode, this is when you really have her, like we were talking about earlier, coming to terms with the ghosting and like how they're convincing her to, put down your phone, delete your phone.
Oh my God, yes, I love that part. She's like, girl, don't do it. Don't do it. It's like, been there.
And the whole thing where she's like, she can't get any cell phone signal and she's upset. I mean, I'd be upset too. So I get it.
And then when she sent the, are you okay? I'm just worried. They're like, no, why'd you do that? Because I think I've been there and I'm like, no, why'd I say that?
But then I also like kind of what Brittany brought up earlier about her knowing her worth, that like they kind of went back to like her realizing that like she's more than She-Hulk. And that's when they encourage her to like on Hulk or whatever, and she goes back to herself. I really like that part too.
The reason why she Hulks out there too, I like too how she runs into the guy who tried to mug her, and she's ready to just murder him almost.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then that's another thing where she like turns to the camera. They're like, "Really? You guys had to bring this guy back?" Just like.
And he's like, I feel like I owe you an apology. No, really? You tried to kill me.
I feel like she should have got more in detail with that, like investigate like why he did it. It was kind of like she just brushed it off. Yeah. Like my ass would have been like ready to be like, what the hell? And like I would have put him like up against a wall and like smashed his head in.
I can completely believe that, by the way.
Me too. Can you imagine Brittany as a She-Hulk? Oh, that's scary. Ashley too.
Right?
I could see Brittany smash just a normal Brittany. She just smash.
I don't need to be She-Hulk to smash someone, huh?
Brittany smash.
I've seen you angry a few times. And also, like the thing with Madison reminded me of one of the times we hung out and we had people that were drunk with us that they reminded me of that. They just wanted to go home and see a dog. That's what that
Can we get ice cream, Dad? Daddy?
Oh, God.
Can we get ice, Daddy?
I don't like drunk people. When I'm not drunk. If I'm drunk, it's okay.
Daddy, can we get ice cream?
Yeah. I was thinking that too. I want to say.
Sit your ass down.
Let me just tell you, we got her drunk again last weekend, and she realized that she doesn't want to be single.
Hey, if this show shows anything, single and being sucks.
Oh my
Even in a
God,
TV show.
yes.
I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not great sometimes.
Shut up, Michael.
Hey, I hated being single, but again, I had a lot of reasons why my life was not good before you. So there's different reasons for that too. But your life was, you were okay without me. You didn't need me. I needed you. You didn't need me. And then this gets us to the Rip It and Rip It episode, which I really like this one too.
I like that episode too.
This is where we get Daredevil. We talked about a little bit, which I'm also really happy they brought back the actor who played Daredevil.
Me
Who I
too.
can't think of his name all of a sudden. I'm going to look it up. I'm really glad he's back. Charlie Cox, because he's
He's also really hot, so that kind of.
I was gonna say I would fuck a blind guy too if he looked like him.
Well, I'm just so glad he's back too, because he did such a great job as Daredevil in the Daredevil show and Defenders, and then he just was lost, essentially lost in the bad Netflix deal.
Oh, is that why it's been taking so long for them to like give us more Oh, okay, I always wondered about that because I knew like
Netflix technically owned the rights to those characters for a certain amount of time. So they couldn't, that's why Daredevil shows up in Spider-Man No Way Home for a small scene, and because they were trying to reintroduce and show, yes, we got the rights back, and yes, we're going to do something, and that was kind of like what they were up to last year.
I think I've only watched like the first episode or two seasons of Daredevil.
Same. I never saw season 3 yet.
I don't think I've seen season 3, and then I only watched the first season of Jessica Jones. I couldn't get into Punisher. I couldn't get into Punisher or the other one.
Jessica Jones. I will still, every time I still hear Jessica, every time from the way that David Tennant does it in that. God, that show was good though. That show is all about rape though. Yeah. It's a really good show though. Like it talks about what it does to. It's really good. Just we should watch it. We should watch Daredevil too. But also the Ribbit and Rip It episode. Again, we get a comic accurate leapfrog.
Oh God! Really?
Oh my God, that dude was such a dick. He was such a airhead.
No, he's a comic accurate character right there. Again, I actually know I don't own the comic that he's first appearance in, but I've seen it. I picked it up. I just didn't want it because I didn't give a shit.
That's the Ribbit and Rip It guy.
Frogman. He's in the Spider-Man. His first appearance of Spider-Man team-up book.
He literally looks like a frog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just so funny, and they were stealing TVs, and that made me laugh too. Because I always think whenever I see people stealing stuff, I keep thinking of like. So
is he a villain or a superhero?
He's a villain. Pretty sure. I don't know. He's a villain in this. I don't really know much about him.
He was kind of a superhero at first. I mean, he was stopping the people from stealing the TV.
No, he's a hero in the comic because he's part of the Avengers Initiative.
He turns into a villain.
He turns into a villain, but he's so privileged, he probably doesn't understand what a villain actually is.
Oh, he's originally a villain, and then after being thwarted by Daredevil, Spider-Man, Iron Man, he becomes a hero.
Oh, gotcha.
So, yeah, that's where he comes from. But this episode, this was hilarious. Seeing Daredevil, and then like there's one scene where they end up in the hallway because Frogman ends up going to court, ends up losing his court case, so he kidnapped the guy that made his suit, even though he didn't follow the suit instructions. And this where you get introduced to Matt Murdock, who's defending him, which is a great little court scene. But everything leads up to it when you finally do. We can kind of double back, but when you finally get to where Daredevil is in the hallway and you see all those guys lined up, and then she bursts through the ceiling. That's also a dig at the first episode of Daredevil, which has a continuous take of him fighting in a hallway for like 5 or 6 minutes. A continuous one shot, or not one shot, but one take, like all one thing. Oh. And that was, people thought, oh God, they're going to do that. Then they throw it, then they, throw you up, they trick you. That was that part of that, why they do that, why he stands at the end of the hallway. And then the camera kind of pans out, and then she breaks through. It's all a jab at what people were expecting for a second.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a real famous scene that I don't remember how but it's all one cut. They just filmed it and they did it all. It took a lot of takes, but they just did it. One big fight scene he fights in the hallway. We should watch Daredevil now.
Yeah, I just said that.
I know. I'm agreeing with you.
Okay.
But I mean, everything, just seeing Daredevil 2 just got people so excited because this is the first time we see Daredevil since 2018 in the costume. I mean, we get Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home, but we get Daredevil. And their interactions are so good together.
Mm-hmm.
I like them.
Like at the bar you guys were talking about earlier where he's trying to kind of apologize, even though he was just doing his job. She's like, you're a great lawyer. He's like, I'm just doing my job.
There was a lot of sexual chemistry between them.
Oh, definitely.
I loved it.
Like, I would not be surprised if they fucked in real life. Just saying. Like, they definitely played the role very well.
And
but that actor just has, like, that swag, too. And, like, even in Daredevil, he had, like, this, like, interesting like swag to him too. And then he brought it back in this, and it was really great.
I'd meet him.
He also made a comment once I was reading something about where he had a hard time getting other jobs after Daredevil because after doing Daredevil for so long and playing a blind guy, he didn't look at people in the eye. So when he would audition, it took him a while to get used to like having to not be a blind, not portray himself as a blind guy.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because he had a hard time getting a role for a bit, and he was like real excited that Marvel, because Marvel wasn't going to do this, but fans really wanted Charlie Cox back as Daredevil, and that was that's the only reason why we're getting him back.
Oh, that makes me happy.
Great.
So it was all
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to see where they go with it because I'm pretty damn sure they're not going to connect them. So I'm okay with that. It'll just be an alternate, even though they're supposed to be part of the same MCU. Like originally, Netflix shows were part of the MCU, but then I think there was that's the same time when Agent Shield was supposed to be part of the MCU, and then it kind of goes its own way, and it didn't work. They try, but it's hard to do something like that. You really it's very difficult. I mean, they're doing it now with the Disney Plus shows, but you can't do it with a normal TV show that runs for 22 episodes a season.
Oh god.
But I thought everything was good. You get to see She-Hulk fight. You get to see where Daredevil's like, oh, you don't need to fight. I'll handle this. And she's like, I can just fight.
I'm not going to let you spend a half hour taking out 10 men. And he's like, that's not how that math works out. No, that's not how that works.
And you also get to see She-Hulk in her classic costume too, which is that little the suit she's wearing when she fights Daredevil. Yeah, that's her classic costume from the comics.
Oh, interesting.
So I was happy to see that too. And I also laughed, like Tiff pointed out earlier, the Walk of Shame that they have him do. I thought that was cool to have him doing the Walk of Shame. Because I feel like it's usually in TV shows associated with women, always. Like I used to watch the show Cougar Town, which is a good show. And they had one of the characters always doing the Walk of Shame in that show. I remember that.
Same character all the time.
Mm-hmm. Was blonde. I don't remember her name, anything, but I just remember she was blonde. I never did finish that show, but that was a good show.
I like how her friend was, I can't remember what's her friend's name, the paralegal. Nikki was like, oh, I just saw this guy dressed as a devil doing the Walk of Shame. And then Jen gives a little smirk and she's like, oh, did you? Oh, okay, are we happy? But oh, good, we're happy. Okay, let's get ready.
And this is when they have the award show, which is at the end of the episode, which I know is kind of supposed to be a little bit of a because I like how they make comments like we're doing this late, like that's weird. Okay, I guess we'll do it. They just kind of. I think this is another good thing. Like I brought it up earlier, how this is when they're like, oh, what does it feel like to be a female lawyer? And they're like, to be like a regular lawyer, but work twice as hard for less recognition or something like that.
Yeah, what's her colleague's name? I liked her, the lawyer lady that's got the attitudes like we're not friends.
I don't remember her. I'm looking up right now.
Oh, yep, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember her name either.
She was also one of my favorite characters. She was
very fierce, and I really
Mallory Book is the name of the character. The actress is Renee Ellis Goldsberry.
Yeah, she was. Yes, fierce is a very good word. I loved it. She owned her position and I am here. I earned my way, and you're not gonna make me step down.
That was really good. I mean, because almost all the women in this, or not all, probably all the women are all powerful type characters. They don't usually, except for Madison, they probably don't play anybody for the stupid, drunken, sexy thing.
Well, she was like a college girl. Everybody's like that in college, almost.
I wouldn't know.
Almost everybody's like that in college. I mean, we all go through those phases.
But it still worked.
Even guys go through those phases.
But I did like how they end up the whole idea that they're trying to push her, and they do. Like they play a sex tape on TV for everyone to see in order to get her to, lose her temper.
Oh yeah.
Which makes sense. Any person would, especially something, I feel like, well, women are much help. If a guy had a sex tape, oh, good for him. But if a woman does, it's always meant to hurt her, or, she's a slut and all other stupid shit that people say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it was good how they worked that into this, and all of a sudden she becomes the villain, even though it's not, she's reacting the way any person, would probably react, except they don't have powers.
Yeah, I also found it interesting that, during that episode where they had the award ceremony, is that instead of giving it to one female, they ended up giving it to all of them.
Yeah, I was confused about that.
And I feel looking back, it was more of maybe there's a bigger picture that maybe we shouldn't have a category that's all females. I
felt like it was more like a participation trophy.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah,
I kind of felt like it was just kind of like, well,
Congratulations, you're a lawyer.
yeah,
I
That's a
actually
good way to
didn't
put
like
it.
the last few episodes. They made me really upset. So
yeah. I didn't like the last episode either.
I didn't like how they showed like her like freaking out over the sex tape, and it kind of like
Yeah.
made her the bad guy.
Okay.
I really didn't like that because I felt like it was. I don't know.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's
Well, I get it. I agree.
I liked the first episodes, and then once we started getting towards the end, I was like, you know what? I don't even watch this shit anymore. It makes me mad because it wasn't turning out the way I wanted it to turn out.
no, I can understand.
I kind of didn't like the last episode either. It was like, what the hell is happening right now?
Oh, I loved it. I loved.
Of course you did.
Oh, it was so confusing. I was like,
The
what
whole
is
thing
she
with
like?
Kevin but it's the last episode where they do the classic intro.
Yes.
The classic intro with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno on the original series, and Mike didn't even get that. I was like,
Because Mike is too young for that.
I like freaked out. I'm just freaked out. I was.
No, it's cool to have that they were, do that throwback instead of having, and it's her.
And they had like a real muscle lady. That wasn't like the usual lady they had playing. It was a different lady. She was like, whoa! I liked it.
Oh yeah, that was.
You better let me meet Lou Ferrigno someday. I swear to God, or working a divorce. I swear to God.
The joke with that is when we first met, he was at a convention and we were going to go see him, and then I didn't want to go because we were getting married or we just moved. One or the other.
He didn't want to spend the money, which I don't know how much it would have been for Lou Ferrigno. But the next time he came, he canceled.
That was 2019.
Oh.
So I was like, if he dies before I get to meet him, you're going to be in deep shit because
women don't forget. I'm learning that more and more sometimes. I'll forget something and be like,
that today, didn't we?
Women do not forget. They might forgive, they do not forget.
I don't know if I forgave you for that yet.
So, but the 6th episode, I mean, I can see that though. I completely can see how that would rub you guys the wrong way with that. I mean, it didn't bother me, but I'm also not a woman. So, I mean, it's different, but I completely can see that. Because it makes sure the villain all of a sudden, instantly to the way people recognize. They throw her in prison, she has in order for her to get out, she has to wear the band. She can't transform into She-Hulk.
Part of her away, in a sense. It's like they're taking something away from her, like it just society looks at women.
She-Hulk is part of her identity, and she's finally accepted that's part of her, and then they take that away from her.
But I think the biggest thing that they took away from her, and I think that's what probably really broke her the most too, is that she couldn't practice.
Yeah.
Oh, they took that away too?
Because she got fired.
Yeah, she ended up getting fired, and she had to sell her apartment.
Yeah,
she had to move back in with her parents and everything.
Did you miss that whole?
But wasn't that the last episode where all that happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was it the last? Oh, okay, maybe.
It's the last episode, but it's all right after all that happened, which is the
all of
end
that
of episode 8.
Yeah, everything that happened in episode 8 resulted in all of that, and you just kind of get to see her more a little raw, kind of. I guess I don't know.
No, it makes sense. It's a good way to put it. It's a good way to see it because that's probably what they were kind of it changes the character and it makes things sad, not where where the show was going. So I completely understand why you guys felt that way.
I do like that in the end she gets to confront the people, but at the same time I feel like she really didn't get to confront the people because they were so focused on her smashing down the wall and going to production and talking to people. She didn't really get to fight the guy at the end who.
The reason why they make fun of it.
So weird. I didn't really.
Well, there's also they have the whole scene where she ends up at Abomination's ranch. She goes there, and then she finds out that Hulk King and everything that's where they're doing their whole meeting, and then she ends up walking into it, and then he takes her blood and transforms into a Hulkling type creature.
So dumb.
That was also a joke to what Marvel always does in the end of every Marvel show every Marvel movie is always a big fight scene. And everything, and that was a joke to it, and that's why they do it. And they're like, Hulk's here too, and then
I kind of wanted to see what happened,
But that's why they did it that way because there was a joke on themselves because that's what they're known for doing. Everyone's like, oh, yep, that's how every show ends. That's how every movie ends. That's how this is going to end. And then they wanted to go a different route with it, and that's why you have the whole thing with her breaking into the real world and getting mad at the director, getting mad at the writers, and the whole thing with Kevin. is a joke on Kevin Feige, who is the producer of MCU and stuff. That's what that was a whole big joke.
I did kind of I remember like before watching the show that they were like online seeing videos. They were saying that like how She-Hulk calls out all the other male superheroes of all their issues that they have.
I like that.
You're like, they all have daddy issues or some sort of
issues. I mean, she's not wrong.
No, it's funny. You know, and like everything that kind of happens too in this part, like where, you know, like with her going into there and, you know, talking to Kevin and talking to the writers and being like, this is not how my show ends. Like, this is just stupid. Like, because again, it doesn't, I mean, I agree with you. It would have been nice to have her have something where she does kind of confront, you know, Hulk King and everything. I mean, I guess they have a small scene where she, you know, she's taking them to court and then she got reinstated, and the fact that she was getting justice was kind of what the idea was for, and they all get arrested.
But that's like kind of true to her character, though.
Yeah.
That's how Jen wanted to do that. Even in the beginning, she's like, I want to take them down legally. I don't want to beat them.
But I don't know. I laughed my ass off when she went into the real world. I was laughing hard at this part.
Yeah, I was so confused.
When she was like going through like
what the hell?
even the
When
part
they,
where
like,
she was like
Flip
breaking
to the
down
menu
the
screen. I was like,
Oh,
Mike,
yes.
what'd you do? Flip it back.
Right?
That was so funny. I liked that. I was like, wow, this is like really like slick on their part. Like,
It was good, and I just laughed my ass off. And there's also one part, I don't remember when it is, but there's when they talk about one of the worst things that men do is mansplaining your own profession to you or something like that.
oh yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sure you guys have had that happen to you.
Oh, yes. Usually it don't end well with me.
So I just thought that was...
Sassy Tiffany comes out.
Right? Me too.
I thought it was just funny. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure almost all women go through that at some point where some dumbass is like, hey, this is how you clean teeth, you know, something like that.
Of course, always. I always get the patient that tells me like, oh, this tooth right here, you need to be really gentle because it might fall. And I'm thinking in my head like, it's not gonna fall out when I'm cleaning your teeth. Like, what the hell? Like,
and I don't when I have my mouth working on, I don't say shit. I just open my mouth, they do their thing, and I'm here. And don't want to be here. Let's just get this over with so I can go home.
I just usually say,
I don't
okay,
even like telling people I'm
now.
in the profession. Like, I don't, you know, I might as well just say I'm something else because I don't even want them to, you know.
I always think of that too, and I always remember the joke that one time that like. Whenever I go to the dentist's office, I always wear my mask and, like, until they tell me to. Like, they don't have to anymore, but when I always wore it until they told me to take it off. To be respectful of people, because I always remembered something that you said once. So, but also with let's kind of wrap up some of the stuff with She-Hulk. It just was like, I mean, yes, you do get some. I would have liked a little bit more of a scene of her maybe seeing them get arrested and somehow she be more involved in it. But it was still good how they did it. And then also you have Abomination where he goes back to jail and you have a small scene. I think it's the after credit scene is Wong comes back and gets him out of jail and takes him back to Kamar Chad. He's like, you guys have Wi-Fi? He's like, yeah, we got Wi-Fi. Okay. Because I like that, because it did show that he had changed. He wasn't the same person. And he also, in Incredible Hulk, he was working for the government, and the government told him, go kill Hulk. So.
That didn't work out for him, did it?
No.
No.
But I did like to, like, when they send Pug in, the other lawyers that they're working with, we haven't mentioned it's off and on with this show to go there. And
oh my god, Pug is hilarious too. I like him.
That he was supposed to be gay, the character was.
Is he though? I
don't know. That's just the feeling I got.
No, I think maybe are you saying that he was supposed to be gay?
I don't know. I felt like he was supposed to be, or I thought he was for some reason in my head. I thought, but I
think they were trying to maybe make him more of like a supporting, like kind of like a sidekick to the girl in a way, like a comedic role. And I think he did a good job. Like, he was funny. I don't know, like, if his sexuality would have made it different or not. But I think so. I think the way this actor did was good. I liked him. Because I think it also shows that, like, maybe, like, just because he's good looking doesn't mean that he's going to automatically be a douchebag, too.
Yeah. No.
I don't know.
I really like the way they portrayed his character.
And I like how the way he infiltrates them is just by saying females, like you guys were saying earlier. And he's like, yeah, they're like, yeah. They all just, this is funny. Like,
well, Nikki even says safe.
And then it also shows that there are guys out there that like also like believe in like this whole concept of like women too, empowerment and stuff.
I also, like, when they were making the show, they knew, because, again, they made all this, long before it started coming out, and they knew exactly it was going to piss off the people that it pissed off. I thought that was hilarious, too, because there's so many references to piss off people more that were already going to be upset about this show. So it made me happy. That part made me happy.
I think it's great. I agree with you, Mike. It makes me happy, too.
Yeah.
And then I like how you
ruffle feathers a little bit.
Yeah, it did. I mean, there were a lot of... Well, anytime you have Marvel stuff, you always have, like... and this also came out around the time that, right before right after She-Hulk finishes, you have Black Panther Wakanda Forever that comes out, and you have a female lead in that, and you had, people throwing a fit about that, too. Like, it's just dumbasses on the internet.
Yeah, great. I would say, like, the in the last episode, like, where they did the picnic and everyone came in, I didn't really understand the whole part with the Hulk and his son. That was so weird.
That Scar is from the comic. I don't know why because in the comics he's on a different planet. The same, Planet Hulk. He's there for a long time. He has a kid, and then he eventually comes back, and they have an event called World War Hulk that comes after that, and the kid comes way down the road. But the kid stays on Scar and does stuff on Scar. I think, or is that the kid's name?
That's the kid's name.
I forget the name of the planet. I think the planet's called Scar, too. I could be wrong. I don't remember.
It just didn't seem very.
It's called Planet Hulk.
Oh.
It just didn't seem very organic. I was like, oh, okay.
No, what people think they're doing is people think they think they're setting up the Young Avengers. Hulkling, as I'd mentioned earlier, is part of the Young Avengers, and they think Scar is going to take that spot. Because the Young Avengers, a lot so far in all the shows that we have Kate Winslet, Haley Steinfeld playing. I didn't get Kate Winslet. God, the other Hawkeye character, I cannot remember her name. I just butchered Kate Bishop. That's the name. Kate Winslet. That's a real person.
Yes, but she's older.
Yeah, so it's Kate Bishop
playing a younger character.
You have Patriot introduced in Falcon and Winter Soldier. They're setting up the Young Avengers because they're trying to replace all these actors that are pretty much going to be done soon. Like Miss Marvel is another one of the Young Avengers. You had both of Scarlet Witch's kids, Wiccan, and...
But they're not real, are they?
Who knows? There's a multiverse, but that's kind of what I felt like they're setting up, and that's what this felt like too. This is just another setup towards what they're going. Is that they're going to that?
Oh yeah, I could definitely see that because they're doing that for all of them.
Mm-hmm. They're setting up new characters to get ready for that
too. So I mean,
yeah, that'll be what people think will be the third generation of characters. That you'll have the Young Avengers for a little bit, and then the next group will be the Avengers kid. Is what people think they're up to.
Interesting. So what's the one guy that died in the one where they split where he wore the ring, the little the rings,
Infinity Stones.
Yeah, where he wore and he died. Was it Iron Man?
Yeah.
Iron Man, yeah.
And he had a daughter, right? Isn't she supposed to come up and be something too?
His daughter, she's not in the comics. She's a completely brand new character, but I'm assuming that's what they're going to do something with her. Yeah, Morgan. I think that's her character's name. But all I remember is I Love You 3000, and I know that actress was at a convention up in northern Minnesota not too long ago.
Oh.
I didn't care, so we didn't go. But you also worked that weekend, so
yeah,
not much used to. Any last things you want to say about She-Hulk before we move on to our ranking system, shelf stacker box?
I would say my ranking has changed since recording.
All right, we'll go to shelf stacker box and go first. I'm going to put this on the shelf. I really enjoyed the show. I normally don't. I'm a little burnt out on Marvel shows. I'm getting there, but I keep watching every single one that comes out. But I keep saying I'm getting burned out, but I wasn't really excited for this, and I really enjoyed it. I held off to watch it until I think it was almost over, and I watched all of it pretty quickly and really enjoyed it, then rewatched it again with Tiff. And I really like it. It's going on the shelf, and I'm really glad that we watched it and we covered it. And you, Tiff?
Yes, I will put it on the shelf as well. I really, really enjoyed it. It was something different than the other Marvel movies, and I kind of hope they do something with the female characters like this again, because I really enjoyed it. I did not like what they did with Lady Thor, so but I did really enjoy this character in this series.
Okay, and what about you, Ash?
I was gonna say Stack at first, just because like watching it through, I wasn't like super excited about it. But as we were recording, I was like, you know what, this is actually a really good show, and I enjoyed it, actually, I think, in the end, and I would shelf it.
Okay. And what about you, Brittany?
Well, I'd put it on the shelf. I mean, I liked it from the beginning, and I wanted to watch it right away as soon as I saw it was coming out. I wish the ending would have turned out a little different, the last episode, but, I mean, it turned out good, but still not how I wanted it to play out. But yeah, I would, 100%. I liked it.
Okay. I'm glad. And I'm also glad that you guys were able to join us, and I'm glad everything worked out. This was just one of those things where I'm like, I really want a all-women cast, for the most part, besides me, for this, because this is just something that I felt it was perfect for that.
Next
it
time
was.
we'll do it without you.
There had never been an episode published without me of this show. There never will be. There's one episode recorded without me that never got published.
Oh.
You know how. So
Yes,
leave it at that. But that's all I'm going to say on air. But no, there is no. The show does not. I am the show.
You are the show.
I was gonna say,
It's not the first time people made that joke. There's one guy, a friend of mine, that was on the show once that said that there'd be the apocalypse happening, Mike would still be recording and releasing a podcast. And he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
And the world's ending. Hey, I'll get one more episode out.
He'll be recording about the apocalypse. Oh, there's zombies now. Oh, the dinosaurs just killed the zombies.
I love this. Okay, well, and if you enjoyed this episode, there are over 400 other episodes for you to check out of Marvel. We've done all the MCU movies up to Shang-Chi, including Shang-Chi at this point, so go check that out. And we've done one of the shows, or maybe two of the shows by the time you hear this, so the Marvel shows. And we do comics, movies, video game. We do all sorts of crap. Go check out our giant catalog. You find everything on Podbean. And if you want to support the show, we have a Patreon. For as little as $1, you can vote in our Patreon poll that we have each month. As you don't know what the current one will be when this comes out, but go check that out. You'll see a link in the show notes. We have a Discord, so if you want to talk with us, please join our Discord. And I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Helena at Hell Hasphere. You can follow her on TikTok. You can find her. You'll find a link in the show notes for her. She went viral, so keep following her. Make her go more viral. And I'm really, really proud of her. Also, I'm going to shout out to my buddy Bill Tucker, who started his own podcast, A Gamer Looks at 40, so definitely give him a listen, too. He interviews people about how video games affect their lives. A very, very good quality show. And please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on YouTube. We are on YouTube, but audio only, and we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.